African diasporans are normally fixated by news from the African continent. This year, we've all been inundated by stories from Kenya in East Africa. Kenya is about to celebrate her Golden Jubilee anniversary, which means, quote unquote, she's 50 years. To discuss that and a whole range of issues, we have with us the charge d'affaires of the Kenyan Embassy in the United States, Ambassador Jane N. Kamau. Madam Ambassador, welcome to our perspective.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a means of celebrating the Golden Jubilee anniversary, the Kenyan Embassy is reaching out to the Kenyan diasporans. Kindly tell us about this outreach process.
Thank you. Kenya at 50 is a big event for Kenya as we celebrate 50 years of our independence.
Okay.
And the country is in a celebratory mood because we have a lot to celebrate in what we've come of age in the last 50 years, the experiences, the events that have shaped our country in the last 50 years. And we want the diaspora to be part of that process. Okay. So, we've reached out to the diaspora, starting actually from last year.
Wonderful.
And encouraged diasporans in America and even in different countries where we have diaspora communities to actively celebrate Kenya at 50 in their communities through different activities. So throughout the year, especially here in America, there's been a string of activities from Chicago to Denver, San Diego, Texas, Atlanta, Baltimore, New Jersey, different cities, all celebrating, all Kenyans coming together and celebrating Kenya at 50.
Okay.
And in December, here in Washington, D.C., we'll have a big celebration of Kenya, Kenya at 50.
When in December?
In December 13th. The actual celebration by calendar is December 12th, which is when, like in Nairobi, there'll be a big celebration as well.
Okay.
But here in the US, we're going to do it on the 13th, which is a Friday.
Okay.
And we're going to invite Kenyans in the diaspora to join us on that day.
What is this whole celebration? What objectives do you aim to achieve at the end of the day?
First of all, the whole celebration is about bringing together the community to celebrate. It's important that as Africans, our journey to statehood in our various countries and even as a continent has been a struggle. There's been a struggle of restoring our dignity, claiming our nationality, claiming our statehood.
Back from the colonial power.
Exactly. So first of all, we want to celebrate that as a nation we've come a long journey, and 50 years is a significant age.
It's a milestone.
Even in anybody's, when you're 50, that's significant.
That's big, yeah.
So we're bringing everyone together first as community, and then also to re-establish solidarity within ourselves, and looking at the challenges that we've had as a state, and looking at what the opportunities are for the future. And for the diaspora in particular, we take cognizance of the fact that in America, they are part of the immigrant community. And as you know, America is a country made up of immigrants from who have come here from different parts of the world to make America what it is. So for our community of Kenyans who are part of the American nation, who are here, that they too have an opportunity to reflect on their role as Kenyans in America, what their own journey has been, how they also still have significant links and networks back in Kenya.
To the mother country.
Exactly, yes.
What baseline variables are going to be employed to ascertain or to gauge the success of this celebration?
As I mentioned, the celebration has been going on in different towns and states of the United States. So first of all, we have an indicator that tells us how many people have actively supported or been part of those celebrations.
Okay.
And then also what the outcome has been in terms of, in some areas, there's been an establishment of awards. Some communities have gone out of their way and done some community service, or established a scholarship fund, or an award to recognize the achievement of young people within the community. We have a member of the diaspora, for example, who cut a record, which is very popular, not just in the diaspora but also in Kenya.
Back in Kenya.
Yeah. So there are different, and then also we celebrate the contribution of icons, Kenyan icons who are here in America, celebrated writers and academics like Ali Mazrui, Gungi wa Thiong'o, Michere Mugo, and others who have placed Kenya on the map. So these are some of the indicators that these people are still around with us, and they have, they continue to play a significant role at the global level. Of course, here in DC, the celebration will also be the numbers that attend the celebration, and then how through social media that people are also engaging in the discussion of what it means for Kenya to be at 50 in terms of progress for our nation and the achievements that we can critically look at and say we've achieved and what the challenges are for the future as we move forward as a country. Yeah.
Speaking of the larger African diaspora, are there investment opportunities within Kenya for other members of the African diaspora to invest in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of the strategic positioning of Kenya within the East African community makes it possible for Kenyans Kenyans and citizens of the East African community to participate in our economy. We have a very vibrant stock exchange, for example, which is open and people can actively buy and trade shares on that. Different sectors of our economy, from real estate, are also flourishing, and that there's the opportunity for other members of, from the East African community to also invest in that. So opening businesses within East Africa is a real possibility for our citizens, not just within the East African community, even IGAD. We have special trade arrangements with Ethiopia.
Other East African countries?
Yeah. So within East Africa community, we have our own customs treaty that outlines trade within the different countries, the incentives for citizens and the opportunities. Within IGAD, again, we have different arrangements.
Do you guys have one passport to facilitate?
Well, right now we've started with just accessing mobility. So in some areas, we could just use our national ID. For example, for Kenyans or Uganda and Tanzania, we can cross the border just using a national ID.
You don't need a visa?
You don't need a visa.
Okay.
Right. And we're moving, and also there's a right to work within, arrangements.
Oh, wonderful.
Exactly.
Within
so you can move
each country?
Within, well, let's say between Kenya, Uganda, and also with Rwanda for now. But, we're still in communication with our other colleagues on how to open it fully. And the East African community is a very dynamic, market. And, as you know, with the United States government, the East African community is negotiating a trade agreement, Trade Africa, with the United States, which again has, creates more possibilities for investment and trade between the U.S. and the East African community, and that opens up also for U.S. private companies and diaspora members, again, can invest in that because they know the terrain. And also with Africa, there's continuous engagement between Kenya and other African countries on how to improve trade opportunities.
Speaking on that, how has Kenya gone about encouraging local tourism from other African countries and especially the African diaspora itself?
Our tourism sector is very vibrant, and our marketing outreach as a country goes beyond to different markets. So we have marketing strategies that target our own market in the country and the East African community. And we do have tourists coming from as far as Rwanda, Uganda, a steady flow of tourists even coming from, as far as South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. So our market is, it's an open tourist market. It's really, hotels and different industries in the tourism sector put out their products and attract the paying customer. So, the vibrancy of our tourism market is reflected in the type of clients that we're able to attract.
You spoke of all other West African countries and South Africa. How about we that are out of the shores of the African continent, we the African diaspora? Because there's a whole lot of revenue and capital that can flow that way towards tourism. How about a program that targets us also?
Well, we do work with we have some travel agents that focus specifically on Africans and African Americans in the US. And from time to time, they do engage us directly at the embassy on products that they've promoted and to tell us that they're taking a group from here that is interested in making that critical connection, for example, with Africa, and they want to go to to an African country, and they've selected Kenya. So we do target, part of the marketing. We are able to target that segment of the market here in the US.
So how would you describe the traveling, in terms of being able to move from different, because there was a time when for you to go to different African countries, you have to basically leave the African continent and then use a route and fly back to an African country. How would you describe the traveling arrangement in terms of being able to go from one African country to the other right now?
I think movement of people it's an area of constant review, and the aviation industry, of course, has grown significantly in Africa. You've got quite a number of national airlines. You've got Kenya Airways, you've got Ethiopia in South Africa, and Tanzania. Most of the countries do have their national airlines. And what that means is that, and they're doing pretty well. I mean, in terms of their annual turnover and the growth of the aviation sector, and they're all linked up to different alliances. Some are in Star Alliance, some of them are in, the different flying, platforms that are there. And what that has done is that it's created an opportunity for Africans to travel more. And also within Africa itself and Africa and the rest of the world. So, probably the only restriction that is still there in promoting movement of Africans is that some countries will still require visas. And I think, under the Africa Union, they're always, which is concerned about integration of the African people, that their efforts to remove any restrictions that prevent Africans from interacting more, trading more, and visiting each other for commercial or other cultural activity. What is enriching, I think, is that there's an effort for more African airlines to fly directly
to Kenya,
not just to Kenya, but even to the US, and take advantage of the diaspora community. And I think in that sense, Ethiopia Airways has done very well, because we in East Africa are able to use it as an airline of choice that connects us, to the rest of the continent.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a short break and we'll be right back with Madam Ambassador. Welcome back to Our Perspective. We have with us the Kenyan ambassador at the Kenyan Embassy, Ambassador Jane N. Kamau. Speaking of the Kenyan diaspora, there have been reports coming out from the Middle East about East Africans, Kenyans also, getting discriminated at, traumatized and killed in certain countries such as Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Kuwait. So what is the Kenyan government doing about this?
I think those incidents are very unfortunate as they're reported, and it's the government's responsibility to take care of its citizens. So where there's been reported cases of abuse and violations against Kenyans who have gone to work in the Middle East, the government has taken measures to, first of all, help them return home. And then most importantly is also now to help those who are going to the Middle East to have proper paperwork and to interact actively with those governments on agreements that protect domestic workers and their rights. And there was recently a meeting, the Arab-Africa meeting of leaders in Kuwait, where this was one of the substantive issues that was before the agenda, on mechanisms and agreements to protect domestic workers who are coming from Africa into the Middle East market, because it is it's an economic activity that benefits both countries. Yeah, so there's acknowledgement that it is an area of concern, and that there are efforts which are being made to have bilateral agreements that protect the rights of workers, but at the same time also engaging in protecting their rights against the economic activity that they're engaged in.
Yeah. I think that issue has been real heartbreaking for us in the diaspora, because we've kind of put ourselves in that position to empathize with our brothers and sisters from Ethiopia, from Kenya, the difficulties they're going through. And there's a sense among the African diasporans, not just the Kenyan diasporans, that not enough is being done, because we see the atrocities and we just wonder, when will it stop?
And one you can agree that governments have also taken steps to protect their citizens. And recently, one of our neighboring countries, Ethiopia, also did bring back its own citizens who had reported on this problem.
Okay.
So the countries are taking measures to protect their citizens, and that's what the first responsibility, of course, is with governments to do this. And moving forward, this is, of course, as you said, it's an area of concern that raises a lot of passion in people, and they want to see more action going forward. And I think there's just definitely a commitment on that issue.
In terms, you mentioned the meeting between the African Union and the African and the Arab states.
Yeah.
So there is solidarity within the African governments to address this issue,
Absolutely.
not just seeing it as a Kenyan or East African issue.
Because a lot of countries do have their citizens who go and work abroad. I mean, migration of workers it's a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
You have even people from Asia who go into the Arab countries to seek employment. So, based on the experience of our nationals who have gone to these countries, African governments have taken progressive steps to engage Arab counterparts on ways and means on how to establish, common understanding and standards that protect workers and at the same time recognize the importance of immigrant labor for the economic growth of these regions.
Okay. Are there strategic plans in place to protect Kenya itself from terrorist attacks in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, our national security plans, and our national security priorities are about securing our borders and securing our national security. And we've recognized that terrorism is one of our key challenges and crimes that we have to protect our country against and also protect our citizens. So we proactively, plan around securing our borders and securing our homes and commercial entities against possible attacks. Kenya has been attacked several times with the first attack in 1998 when the U.S. embassy was bombed, and also the kind of destruction that followed. So we've had a long experience with terrorism, and our vulnerability and risk is because of a failed state, Somalia, which is in the process of rebuilding. But the consequences of this country rebuilding itself means that there's a measure of instability that affects our own national security. Yeah. So we're very concerned about national security, the threat of terrorism, and that's a priority for us going.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of that, how does the government account for the reports about that following the last terrorist attack on September 21st of this year, that some of the soldiers, not all, but some of the soldiers that were sent to safeguard the Westgate Mall, that some of them were unprofessional in their conduct when they were in that facility?
Okay. The Westgate incident is, again, a very unfortunate incident that happened in our country. And out of that experience, there's been measures taken to establish accountability.
Okay.
Parliament is investigating, has opened an inquiry into the incident, and the head of state has also announced that there will be an inquiry into the incident. In addition to that, there have been investigations carried out on allegations that were made on looting.
Okay.
And some of those cases are already before the courts.
Okay.
So measures have been put in place to address accountability.
Okay. So there are definitely plans to hold people to account and
Absolutely.
have a transparent investigation about the whole affairs.
Yeah, I think in terms of our democracy is that we have mechanisms and structures in place that oversight and provide assurances to citizens that incidences will be investigated and answers will be provided. Okay. And that's why we have, the three arms of government are separate, independent, and oversight on each other. And, Parliament is carrying out its own independent inquiry into what happened. The executive will do the same, and the judiciary is actively prosecuting and adjudicating on such matters.
Okay, and can we be assured that this investigation will go to the bottom of the issue, and despite tribal or other connections that, the investigations won't be tainted or the outcomes won't be tainted?
There's no, as I said before, we have the institutions and the mechanisms under our constitution that ensure there's accountability to the public, and that those institutions jealously guard that right and that obligation. And we can see a very robust engagement around Westgate in the country, driven by the media, through social media, and even the public engaging on what happened and the kind of questions people want answered. So nationally, we have these debates, and we have the forums through Parliament, through the courts, and now we have the inquiry that will be set up by the executive to do this. So there's no, the whole issue around Westgate will be thoroughly investigated. Yeah.
Okay. Madam Ambassador, Kenya has never had a female president or a female prime minister, and wanted to find out if you personally have any plans to leave the diplomatic arena and go into partisan politics sometime in the future.
Well, Kenya has not had a women president, but has fielded women presidential candidates.
Okay.
In the elections, and that's significant that they've put themselves forward in this lineup of candidates. So there's hope that in the future we could have a woman president, but that's not my ambition at the moment. Thank you. Yeah.
And the Golden Jubilee anniversary will be taking place in December of this year. Where exactly? You said the actual celebration is on the 12th, and the dates in the United States is from the 13th to the 15th. Where is the venue of the celebration itself?
Okay. Well, the venue, of course, of the national celebration is in Kenya on the 12th, and we're taking it to Uhuru Grounds, which is where we attain the exact point at which our independence ceremony took place in 1963.
Okay.
So it's very significant that we go back to the spot 50 years ago, where we became a nation state, an independent nation. Here in the U.S., we will be having two activities going back to back.
Okay.
We have the Jamhuri Day celebration, the Kenya at 50, which is on Friday the 13th of December. And then on the 14th or 15th, we have our National Diaspora Conference, which again brings members of the diaspora based in the U.S. This year we even have members of the diaspora traveling from Japan and some coming here, which is quite interesting. And others actually who are joining us from Kenya, policymakers and key private sector players. And the celebration will be here at the Hilton in Virginia, the Hilton Crystal Hotel in Virginia. Yeah.
Okay. Before we round up, are there plans to get some of the Kenyan diasporans to look towards going home to make meaningful contributions back to the home society?
Oh yeah, there is. In fact, the private sector, most of them are attending this year's diaspora conference actually to recruit, not just Kenyans. Some of them, it's Africans. Interestingly, global companies, multinationals like General Electric, Barclays Bank are keen to recruit members of the diaspora who are keen to work in Africa. So we're having a recruitment drive going on that weekend, and we really want to encourage Africans who are here to attend the recruitment drive, and they can go on our website, and there are details about that, kenyaembassy.com. So and this is something we've noticed, which is a big push. There's a need for qualified Africans who are able to bring that comparative expertise and skills that is needed to build Africa. So it's good interest.
Madam Ambassador, thank you very much for honoring us with the opportunity to interview you and to find out what the Kenyan Embassy and what the Kenyan people are planning for the Golden Jubilee anniversary. Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.